Good morning, everyone. Jerome Harris here from eprophetic.com. And in this video, I want to talk about what Jesus said here at Mark chapter 8, verses 35 through 38. Let's read this together, and I will elaborate as we go along. Jesus begins, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and the gospel will save it." So this will require sacrifice, commitment, and knowing the truth on our part. Continuing with verse 36. "What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul?" Recall there in Matthew chapter 4, Satan the devil offered Jesus all of the kingdoms of the world and their glory. In other words, he wanted Jesus to forfeit his soul for those things, all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. That is exactly what Satan has put and will continue to put before everyone. Satan wants your soul. He wants you to commit to something, and we're going to get to that in a few moments. Verse 37, "Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul?" So our souls, our lives, our souls are us. So we are valuable in God's eye. In Satan's eyes, we're nothing to him. Verse 38, Jesus says, "If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he arrives in his Father's glory with the holy angels." Now, there are a few things to unpack here. When Jesus says, "If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation," he isn't referring to committing adultery. That is, persons who are married who step outside of that marriage and they commit adultery with someone. No, he's referring to committing adultery with a world, this world that he said that his kingdom is no part of. When one goes along with the flow within Satan's world, they're committing adultery with it rather than being married to or membered with Christ. If you are not membered with Christ, then you commit adultery with this wicked and evil world. And so Jesus says, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes to his Father's glory. So he says here, when he comes in his Father's glory. This has not occurred yet. In future days, Jesus will come in his Father's glory. So for those of you who are Trinitarians, take a quick and careful look at this. He says, in his Father's glory, not in his own. Everything Jesus did, almost everything that he did, was to the glory of his Father and the doing of his Father's will, his God and his Father. And he concludes with the holy angels. Now, this is prophetic, and I can show the scriptures to show that when he comes with a host of angels. A few other scriptures that support this here also. So what we can glean from this is that we are valuable in God's eyes. But in the eyes of Satan the devil, we are not. He wants us to give up the precious life that God has given us, that many of us take for granted. And Satan the devil wants us to commit adultery with his world, because his world is saturated with lies, not the truth. It doesn't benefit the God of this world to saturate the world with truth. He will put some truthful things in there to mislead and deceive people. But this world will not be saturated with the truth. The truth is like a hidden gem. If a person goes out looking for precious metals or precious gems, they take the right tools, the right instruments, and they set out on that journey. But what will they have to do? They have to dig. They have to exert effort to find the truth. Seek and you shall find. Like a precious metal or a precious stone, the truth will not be laying on the surface of the ground. You have to dig for it. I'll say that there are many innocent ones who have been presented with these fake metals and fake gems. I'm speaking proverbially here. by many who stand in the pulpit, and they give them those things. And those things are fake. They're false. And they sink people. See, it's too easy. They say, okay, this is the truth, and it's right there on the surface of the ground. It requires no digging on the part of the person or persons who are listening to those persons. Each of us, each individual must get their own pick and axe and shovel and whatever instruments that they can muster. I'm speaking again for verbally here, and go out and seek the truth. And it begins by asking the Father for the truth, that you want to know the truth, and trust that the Father will answer that prayer. And as I said in previous videos, be persistent, be a pest about it. Let God know that you want to know, no matter how painful it will be. You want to know the truth. And the truth, as I said previously in other videos, will not be popular in this world. So what you ask, be prepared for what you will receive. You'll find yourself by default separated from the world, because you are going to accept that which is not pleasant initially. That's going to separate you from everyone else. And it can be a lonely feeling. You won't be alone, but it will be a lonely feeling, because you will find that the majority of the world basically are going in that direction. But you're not. You're going in that direction. You're going against the flow. So be prepared for what you ask for from the Father, but He will answer your prayer. This is R. Jerome Harris. Thank you for listening.